Evening, everyone. Welcome to the Parks and Recreation Committee for Tuesday, April the 16th, 2024. We'll start today with the land acknowledgement. As we gather today, I would respectfully acknowledge on behalf of the Council and the community that the City of Pembroke resides in the unceded traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We thank the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. It's with this statement that we honor and respect the Algonquins on whose land we reside. We do have quorum. We do have Councillor Fernier is away on vacation, and Deputy Mayor Abdallah is off due to illness. So we do have quorum, though. That being said, can I get, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Seeing none. Can I get approval or amendment of the meeting agenda? Councillor Jackno, seconded by Councillor Plummer. All in favor? Thank you. Approved. Moving on to the approval of minutes for the Parks and Recreation Committee for March 19th, 2024. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Plummer, seconded by Mayor Gervais. All in favor? Passed. Thank you. Is there any business arising from the past minutes? Seeing none, we'll move on to presentations and delegations. So we'll start with the Pembroke Horticultural Society presentation. CAO Enra, do you want to do the introductions, or would you like me to do the introductions?
You can go ahead if you would like.
All right, thank you. So the Pembroke Horticultural Society is celebrating their 100th anniversary serving the city of Pembroke. Tonight we have Ellen Vandersleen and Kathy Hughley, members of the society, to present an update on the society's undertaking within our community. So welcome to council.
Thank you very much. We thank you for inviting us to make a presentation to council tonight. We are most grateful. We wish to report what we have been up to in the past couple of years, what our hopes are for the future, and we want to share with you some of our exciting plans for our centennial year.
As you just mentioned, the Pembroke Horticultural Society is celebrating 100 years this year, helping to beautify our city, encouraging interest in horticulture. In 2023, the Horticultural Society logged 2,837 volunteer hours. Why not join our society? We have monthly meetings with guest speakers, garden tours, flower shows, workshops. We plant and maintain approximately 35 flower beds in various parks in Pembroke, including the waterfront. We sponsor bridge boxes, and this year we are sponsoring 10. In partnership with the Pembroke Kiwanis Club, we have developed the Arboretum at the waterfront, which now boasts over 100 trees and shrubs, a book tree, bird habitat, gazebos, and picnic tables, as well as a waterfall. This endeavor was undertaken to celebrate both of our 100th anniversaries, the Kiwanis Club in 2022 and the Pembroke Horticultural Society this year in 2024. The Pembroke Waterfront. Over the past 6 years, since the Society was bequeathed funds from the Pembroke Petawawa District Community Foundation, we have seen incredible enhancement of the waterfront park with the work of our gardener, Jenny Buchholz. We have gone from caring for 7 flower beds to 27 beautiful and immaculately maintained beds. We also have been successful in applying for and receiving grants for Canada Summer Job students, who Jenny trains and supervises. We are most grateful for the city looking after the payroll and safety training for our gardener and summer students, and most recently funding 50% of the waterfront gardener's salary and the flowers to be planted at the waterfront, plus hiring an extra student who will work with Jenny and help Parks and Rec on occasion if required. The Pembroke Waterfront Park has 2 theme gardens. You see in the picture here the color red. The Ontario Horticultural Society has a theme color each year, and this was the year it was red. But this year in 2024, the theme color will be orange. So if you're out shopping for flowers, try and pick orange for your garden. This is another of our gardens at the waterfront on the corner of the boardwalk, where we've got some flowers planted that Jenny looks after in a great way. The Horticultural Society worked with the Kiwanis Club and the community to build the arboretum at the waterfront under the leadership of our friend Fred Blackstein. Here you can see some of the workers who planted the trees at the arboretum. This old cottonwood stump is down at the arboretum. A Fellows High School student built cubbies to fit into the cottonwood stump that hold books, which are supplied by the Pembroke Public Library. So if you're ever down there and you're looking for a book, be sure to choose one from the stump. This is the bird habitat at the Arboretum. It's a project that we built 2 years ago. It's not only beautiful, but beneficial to the environment. And as it grows and fills in over time, it will be even better. Since this picture was taken, a bird feeder has been added to the habitat. Bird houses made by high school students have also been added to the trees along the Algonquin Trail. A purple martin bird house was erected in 2023, and just recently, last week, some more fruit-bearing shrubs were added in behind. The waterfall in the Arboretum has been dedicated to the first responders, veterans, and frontline workers. This has been a gorgeous new addition to the waterfront, a place of peace and relaxation for everyone. We're very excited that a Vimy oak sapling is going to be planted in this area this summer. Fred Blackstein helped us out by purchasing this new electric watering cart and tank. It will be used at the waterfront, Pansy Patch Park, and wherever we may need it. The cart is easy to operate, loads with minimal effort onto a trailer or back of a truck for transporting to different locations. Many, many thanks to Fred for ordering, assembling, and looking after all the fine details.
We help care for Pansy Patch Park. Volunteers of the society plant, maintain, and clean up the flower beds. The Karen bed, the bed on the hill by the parking lot, the 2 beds on the other side of the bridge, the peony bed by the gazebo, and the bed around the large walnut tree recently refurbished with hydrangea shrubs. For the past couple of years, we have taken on the invasive Japanese knotweed patch that had been growing along the creek. It extended about 120 feet by about 20 to 30 feet in places. It really obstructed the view of the park, and it looks much tidier now. So here you see us on our first of our 3 work bees. We had about 12 volunteers working 3 hours each time to cover this weedy patch. And so we put down a layer of mulch, a layer of plastic, another layer of mulch, and then some black tarps, and we weighted down the edges with rocks. Much effort was required because it's a very persistent weed. And here you see Jerry Vandersleen and Jenny Bukals working away there. This is the first work bee 2, this picture. Paul Lorenz with his ATV and trailer, Peggy Patterson and Terry McCann, they were spreading the mulch provided by the city. Here we have Jenny Bukals and Kathy Hughley working away as well. And then this was the last of the 3 work bees. We layered down more cardboard boxes because we needed to cover the area. And when people walk over the area, we didn't want the little stumps to puncture through the tarps. So it has worked quite well. So in 2023, not as many shoots were popping up through the tarps. The first year, every time we went down to the park, we'd be out there pulling out all the shoots that popped up. And last year, there was just the odd one. So it does seem to be working, and we will need to keep the tarps in place for a few more years. So in October last year, we had a fall cleanup day. This was our work crew gathered to limb up all the bunch of trees in Pansy Patch Park. Here we are, hard at work. Volunteer Paul Lorenz brought his ATV and trailer down to the park to help transfer all the limbs that were trimmed. The branches were then transported across the bridge so city crews could pick them up. We also cleaned out some of the tree growth from the foundation ruins of the old greenhouse. We hope to enhance this area as well. So Joe Yaroskavich, he did all the limbing up of the trees, and the rest of us, we would transport the trees, the limbs into the trailer and over across the bridge. So a huge thank you to the city staff for picking up all of the tree limbs that were carried over the bridge every time we had a cleanup day. We're working well together. We also like to thank you for the repairs and refurbishment of the gazebo. It is beautiful. And we are very pleased with the new shed going to Pansy Patch Park, made by the Algonquin students. It is most appreciated. This is going to be nice to store some of our tools and hoses. Every time we go down to water at the park, we have to, load them all into our vehicles and bring them down. So this will help us out a lot. Thank you. In last year on the March break, we also hosted a workshop for the children at the library to teach them about horticulture. We had a lot of fun. We did some planting and we did some transplanting, and we got our fingers dirty, so it was lots of fun. Earth Day last year was April 28th, and we planted a maple tree in the Arboretum. Here you see us all there, Mayor Ron Gervais, Deputy Mayor Brian Abdallah, Fred Blackstein, the Climate Action Committee, and a Fellows High School student representing all the students who helped fabricate the metal cages for the Arboretum trees, the Kiwanis Club, and of course our society. And Anthony Dixon took this photo, so we're most appreciative. This year's Earth Day is Monday, April 22nd at 10 a.m., just across the river here at Coronation Park. We want to plant another flowering crab, so please join us. We plan to do some cleanup in the, probably in the waterfront park somewhere. So all are welcome. Come on out and dress appropriately and help us clean up.
The Pembroke Horticultural Society holds a number of flower shows throughout the year. This one pictured is at the East End Mall. That would be in the springtime. Another is held in August at the Waterfront Park, and then a third one at our Christmas banquet in November. Flower shows are also held at most of our general meetings. They take place the fourth Monday of the month at 7 p.m., 368 Miller Street. All visitors are welcome. Flower shows promote the love of gardening by showing what we grow. Seeing all the beautiful flowers helps to inspire others. And here are a few more entries in the flower show. We host an annual plant sale at the Pembroke and Area Community Center each year. We have amazing volunteers who dig up and then pot and label and donate all the plants for our plant sale. Plants are organized into categories, and we have members on hand who give good gardening advice to our shoppers. This year, the plant sale will be May 18th from 9 until 12 noon or sold out. So come on down and find some plants for your garden. We'd like to give a huge thank you to the city for the use of the Pembroke and Area Community Center at no cost to the society. And the city staff down there are extremely friendly and helpful for setting up and taking down. Here's a peek at our finances. Our plant sale proceeds for the last 15 years. We have made $28,087.55. And last year was our best sale ever. Paul Martin Drive Cleanup Project. This is something that we really want to work on over the next few years. We've started this little project. I shouldn't say little, it's going to turn into a big one. We had a volunteer crew, about 10 people, back in April of 2023, come out to limb up the lower dead branches of the trees lining a portion of Paul Martin. And then we cleaned up the debris along the ditches, made a huge pile of branches, and then again the city came and picked up the piles, so we thank you very much for that. and we'd certainly like to plant more trees along Paul Martin Drive and clean up that area. So going forward, there are a few things that we wish for the council to consider. We're hoping that an annual budget could be set up for a gardener. We really value your participation in the beautification of our city. We would suggest hiring a city gardener or arborist whose responsibilities would be to maintain all the green areas of the city, including the trees, existing shrub and planting areas, weeds in parking lots, and along buildings. This person would be involved in discussions with the Horticultural Society and local businesses to determine immediate priorities. We're also hoping that you might set up a budget for tree replacement. It's important that we maintain the existing forest canopy of the city. We recognize that over time, trees get damaged or die for various reasons, which in turn requires them to be cut down. So as a team, we would like to commit to planting 1 new tree for every tree that is lost. We acknowledge that some trees may be cut down because they are in the wrong location, perhaps under hydro wires. However, the replacement tree can be put anywhere in the city in a desirable location for its long-term benefits. An annual budget commitment would allow for these replacements. And finally, a facelift to Paul Martin Drive, which, as we know, is a major artery leading into our city. We realize that the property along KI might be owned by multiple entities. So with the cooperation of these entities, this whole entrance could use a major facelift to provide a welcoming entrance to our city. This should include regrading of areas, rehabilitation of existing plantings, addition of new trees, and a plan for regular maintenance. We look forward to your continued participation in developing a city that we can all be proud of.
So our goal this year, in our 100th year, is to plant 100 trees for 100 years. We are also planning a 1920 era picnic to be held Sunday, July 21st from 11 until 2. Bring your own lunch, cake and sweets will be provided. There will be children's games, entertainment, and more. Everyone is welcome, and there will be fun for the whole family. In the fall, we're going to hold a gala. It will be Thursday, November 14th at the Pembroke Legion. There will be dinner, music, and entertainment. Tickets will be available, so I hope you can join us. So our goal for planting 100 trees for 100 years is a lofty one, and it's going to take a lot of effort, but everybody has been so helpful and very motivated. So trees, the reason we'd like to plant a lot of trees is they're good for the environment. They help to recanopy our city. They regulate the temperature. They purify the air. They help to prevent flooding, and they help to sustain wildlife. And we are planting mostly native species as well. And native species are important as well because they are used to the seasons that we have, the soil conditions, and also the water conditions. So it's all very important to have native species. And it's also important for the wildlife as well. They depend on the native species more as well. So we plant trees for the future generations. We will be looking for volunteers to help us plant. So keep an eye on Facebook and come and join us. So let's get involved to enhance where we live, work, and play.
The Horticultural Society has set up a legacy fund for this tree planting effort that we're working on in order to plant 100 trees. The legacy fund will hopefully get the community involved. We love our city, we want it to flourish, and we hope that a number of people will make a commitment toward this fund to help us reach our goal. There will be different levels. The community level would be $100 plus, bronze level, $1,000 plus, the silver level at $5,000 plus, the gold level, $10,000 plus, and the platinum level at $20,000. Donors' names will be printed in our centennial book and on a commemorative plaque. And you can also donate in memory of a loved one. Here is our #1 tree being planted at Pansy Patch Park. It's a maple, and that fellow there in the orange hat is Terry McCann, former mayor. Our treasurer on the right, Larry Termarsh, and on the left, our retired forester, Robin Cunningham. We also have planted 3 ivory silk lilac trees along McKay Street out in front of Eastside Mario's. And I'm sure they're going to make a lovely display as people drive into the city and through up to the downtown. So come on out. Come on out to our picnic. Come on out and join us Sunday, July 21st from 10 to 2. It'll be lots of fun. We encourage you to dress in the 1920s era style, and we're really looking forward to Mayor Gervais coming out in his 1924 suit. The Horticultural Society would like to thank the City of Pembroke for our strategic partnership. We really enjoy working with you, and we appreciate all that you've done to help us reach a lot of our goals. And as we know, teamwork makes the dream work. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Do we have any questions or comments in regards to the Horticultural Society's presentation? Councillor Jackno?
If I may, through you, Mr. Chair, the question on the Japanese knotwood weed, is that an invasive species, or is that something that was here before?
It is invasive, yes.
Okay. And where would that have come from?
That's a good question. We bring so many species in now, and some are fine, but some do become invasive, and that is certainly one. So if anybody has it in their yard, they'll know how difficult it is to get rid of. And
What does it look like? I'm just...
it looks like bamboo. It
Okay.
grows about 10 feet tall, and it gets about this thick in diameter, 1.5 inches or so, and it has those little nodules it's a perennial, so it dies back every fall, and then you have this huge mound of dead material, and then the new shoots grow up around it, so it gets quite messy looking, and it just keeps invading the area, because that was quite a patch we had.
Thank you.
Seeing none? Oh, Councillor Plummer?
Yeah, no, I'd just like to say, obviously, thank you for coming with a great presentation, as well as, again, we always encourage groups to bring with suggestions, too, on ways to improve the city. So I do appreciate that, and, having some ideas that council can look at and for how to improve the city. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Gervais?
I just want to echo the sentiments of council to thank the two of you and to thank your whole society for everything that you do. When I look at some of the slides in terms of partnerships, there's mention of the Climate Action Group, there's the college that not only in terms of the construction of the shed, but there's the Arborist program that I know assists as well. You have the Fellows High School, and you were talking about the items there to protect the trees as they're in their young years. It's, I know that council knows that in terms of the city of Pembroke, we can't do it alone, and it takes strategic partnerships. It takes partnerships all around, which is evident from what it is that the Horticultural Society does. And that's why, you are listed as a strategic partner, because when we look at the city of Pembroke and trying to look at, so can we do this particular task, and if we can do it, what is the cost associated with it? And when you have such a great organization such as your own that is able to carry out the different works that you do, it's just phenomenal. And then it allows the city of Pembroke to wrap around and to assist in terms of our different departments. But we don't need to be front and center, because you're front and center. You're the ones that are doing all of the heavy lifting, as they say. I'm really appreciative of the Legacy Fund, because so often, as council will know, sometimes organizations, and I'm thinking of one on Mary Street, that they create something, and it's great when it's being created, but there's the ongoing, as you say, legacy. I think the only other time I've ever seen that word is when we're talking about CNL and talk about legacies, but that's for bad reasons. But it's to create a fund necessary to sustain what it is that that you've accomplished, but so for generations to come, so that they're because let's face it. So I love trees, but I'm also aware that sometimes disease hits, sometimes other things happen, and you need funds to be able to access, to be able to either remove it, limit, do something with that particular tree. To speak to what Councillor Giacono was talking about, I was reading the other day about in this generation or this day and age, you can buy so many different plants and so forth, and so sometimes what you can buy may not necessarily be, well, it's not indigenous to the area, and so then it becomes, it overtakes and it starts doing things that you didn't intend. And anyways, this article I was reading I thought was rather interesting because, you let your fingers do your walking sometimes, or you go to, wherever to purchase certain plants, not knowing what the repercussions might be to purchasing certain plants. I found that rather interesting because some people, it looks nice, it's flowery or it's whatever, but it's like, so is it suiting to our particular environment? So, but again, to come full circle, I just really want to thank not only the two of you, but who you represent in terms of the entire society, and I know that any chance I get in terms of even the Christmas parties, everyone is always so welcoming, and my wife looks forward to attending with me because it's like a large family. So I do appreciate that.
If council would give me the opportunity to speak from the chair, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you so much for all the work that you do. Especially in regards to your centennial celebration. I'm looking forward in terms of the gala and also the picnic. So that'll be something that'll be interesting to attend, that's for sure. And I would like to see Mayor Gerba in his attire. So one of the things that strikes me when it comes to the Pembroke Horticultural Society is the beautiful boxes and the plants that you guys do. Last year at the Multicultural Festival, and also Canada Day Festival, we had a lot of individuals that were from out of town, and some of the big comments that I heard is just how beautiful the park was in terms of the flora and the fauna that's there in the park. See the same thing in terms of Pansy Patch Park, and not just the waterfront park, and our beautiful boxes that are actually that adorn our bridges as well. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for all the hard work that you guys do. And I will be planting a little bit of orange this year, so awesome. So I wrote that one down too, so to kind of match some of the themes that you have going on. So thank you so much. Yes, Mayor Giacono?
Thank you. I meant to mention this earlier when I asked about the Japanese knotwood. But I had to say this again. Last summer I met a student from Osaka, Japan, who was bicycling across the country. And he made Pembroke one of his stops to see the floral arrangements everywhere. He told me that in his half-broken English, and he was bicycling from Vancouver out to the East Coast. It had taken him months, but he wanted to make it a stop, and he told me how beautiful our community was. And I mean, when you go back in history, the hanging gardens of Babylon, beautification isn't new. It was always around, and it attracted people, it attracted industry. I don't care what anybody says. You have a nice-looking community, people want to come here. Mm-hmm. And I think, because of that, we had our call center that was here for 20-some years. They've sort of gone to the electronics now. You can work from home. But they came here specifically, they told me, because of the beauty of the community. And they could have opened anywhere in Ontario. But they said, the warmth of the people and the beauty of the community did it. So obviously 2,837 volunteer hours. I know you could use more people. There are people that are retiring, sitting around having a coffee and looking out the window in the morning, wondering what they're going to do. I think they should perhaps think about joining the Horticultural Society and helping beautify their own community. So in my humble regards, thank you very much as well. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have a presentation this evening, and it's recognizing Miss Elaine Metzger. And in the audience, we have Grace Roseboom, Grace McLaughlin, Jenny Buchholz, Deborah Metzger, Reverend David Metzger, Larry Termarsh, Suzanne Walton, Fran Adams, and of course Kathleen Hughley, and Elaine Vandersleen as well. So on behalf of the mayor, I believe, Elaine, if you would please come to the front, that'd be greatly appreciated. Just for those that don't know, Miss Metzger was my grade 3 teacher at Laurentian School. So maybe grade 3 or grade 4, Miss Metzger, and also my neighbor.
So again, good evening, everyone. It's truly a pleasure to be here this evening to present and to honor Miss Elaine Metzger. I believe it's fitting to take this opportunity to do so. I've had the benefit of knowing Elaine for more than 13 years now, and she's always positive, a go-getter, and a driving force. To describe her personality succinctly, she's a firecracker. When I was deciding how to approach this topic of recognizing Elaine, I was concerned that she might not take kindly to such acknowledgement. As I've gotten to know Elaine, I've discovered that she does not seek accolades. She does not look for recognition. She's an extremely genuine person. Those that surround Elaine in the Horticultural Society hold her in the highest of esteem. This is so evident from notes that I was provided by your colleagues as to your accomplishments, your work ethic, and just about your personality. It is stated in one of the notes that at age 91, Elaine says that she is not able to do what she used to do, but we know that she certainly does much more than people her age. I will always recall a meeting I attended with Elaine about the City of Pembroke and concerns that she had regarding our community and the state of various parks and other beautification efforts. I'm sure you remember that meeting. And one of the things you said to me that stuck with me is that you said that I'm in my 90s, and in my 90s I should not have to be pulling weeds, but I will do this, and I will continue to do it, and I believe you. Now that is the spirit that makes me proud of the City of Pembroke. And so, Elaine, on behalf of the council and all the citizens of Pembroke, I am so pleased to be able to present you with 2 items to remember us here at the City of Pembroke and to acknowledge all of the great work that you do for us. The first one is we have a resident in the City of Pembroke who loves to take photographs, Mr. Lizola. And so he has a number of books that he has compiled with all the different photographs, and there's many of the accomplishments that the Horticultural Society has done, including Pansy Patch Park and so many different great pictures of items in the City of Pembroke that you've touched upon. So that's the first item I want to present you with.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And the second item I want to present you with is a Mayor's Award to you with great appreciation for your dedication and beautification of the City of Pembroke.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Can I say it?
You bet. You bet. Here, I'll get out of the way.
Thank you. Thank you for this honor and for publicly recognizing the contributions of the Pembroke Horticultural Society. The members have made here, I better put my glasses on. Yeah. The members of the Pembroke Horticultural Society have made a great effort in the enhancement of the beauty of our city. I guess I represent the past and present volunteers, but there are folks here tonight with a vision for the future. Thank you, Mayor Gervais, for your support, encouragement, and active participation in keeping Pembroke beautiful. You and your council set a fine example, and thank you again for this recognition.
Okay, sure. You might want to speak into that, and then they can hear what you're telling me.
Yeah. So some of my family members came to support me tonight. So we have Daniel and Sophie there, and and Michael and Deborah, and of course the old guy.
Well, I can put it in the back in the box, and that way it'll be safe for you. Here.
This is very, very nice of you to do this. And you're absolutely right. I really don't like to be.
No, I've gotten to know you. But I think you know, I know you deserve to be recognized.
Well, thank you so much.
There you go. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. So moving on to our next presentation. In terms of delegations, we have the Pembroke Area Airport 2023 Annual Report and Update Presentation. And I'll just get to the right slide here. We have with us Jennifer Lehman and Alan Wren, representatives for the Pembroke Area Airport. And they'll be in attendance to provide an update on the activities occurring at the Pembroke Area Airport. Okay. If there's anybody that would like to leave, you're more than welcome to stay. I'm sure it's very riveting information that you're going to hear tonight, but thank you. I appreciate that. Just 1 minute.
Okay,
right.
well, thank you very much on behalf of the Airport Commission for allowing us time to come and talk to you about your airport. And I'd like to stress that this isn't Jennifer's airport or my airport. This is your airport. The City of Pembroke is about 21% ownership in the airport. So I'm going to leave most of the presentation to Jennifer. She's the professional in doing that. And at the end, we'll hopefully answer any questions that you have. Jennifer?
We're thinking we're probably going to get an award at the end of this. So one of the biggest challenges we have at the airport is that it's not a place that everybody sees every day. So we wanted to come to our owners and let you know some of the things that have been going on for the past year. Some of the things when we promote what goes on at the airport are difficult for us to promote because we actually deal with life and death situations there and tragic circumstances, and those can't be promoted in a way, but they can be told long after the fact. So we have some of those situations. We also have development opportunities where investors are not wanting information about what they're looking at to be made public, so we often know a lot and can't say a lot. So that's why we wanted to be able to come and share with you some of the things going on. So our 2023 year started off with a medical flight, but it was not Orange Air Ambulance that comprises 60 of our air movements this year. It was actually an international air ambulance flight. So there was a local resident who had to be flown home from St. Lucia, and they were flown home to the Pembroke Area Airport and then continued on with their health care. So that's one of the services that happens. It's actually been happening almost on an annual basis now, where there is someone who is flown home whenever they're abroad and for medical reasons. We have, what's interesting about the air ambulance, and we had 60 movements this year, which is kind of how we average generally. 100% of the air ambulance costs are paid through our provincial taxes. And in the land ambulance situation, only 50% of that is covered, and then local taxes pay the other 50%. So we actually have a big purpose, not only in a life-saving situation, but also in a financial situation for all of the residents of Renfrew County and the city of Pembroke. Included with the medical services sometimes is a search and rescue situation, and we had 8 search and rescue missions that happened in 2023. They were a combination of local residents and tourists who needed this support. So the airport operates 24/7, 365, and we have a limited number of staff. We've been successful in hiring people this past year, but we had 55 call-outs, and a call-out is whenever there is a number that someone can call to get service at the airport at any time. So we have staff that are at the airport between 7 and 5 every day, but from 5 until 7 the next morning, staff go home, but there is a call-out service, and 55 times that happens. So that's 2 to 3 times a month that a staff is coming in, and it's not usually at 5:30, it's going to be at 2 in the morning or midnight or something like that. And in every case, I think we confirmed that it was an emergency services situation. So it would be air ambulance that needed fuel, or search and rescue that needed building access, or forest firefighting, any number of those services. I was noting on the horticultural presentation that they acknowledged the Community Foundation, Pembroke Petawawa District Community Foundation, and Fred Blackstein. And it struck me that those are 2 organization and person that have been instrumental with the airport as well. So the Community Foundation actually has a fund for the airport that has Dr. Penn contributed a wonderful amount towards our project runway, and the Community Foundation is holding that for us. And Fred Blackstein has been one of our top supporters at the airport. Of course, he has a significant background in search and rescue, and so he's very well aware of what goes on at the airport in terms of that as well. So it's just interesting to see how certain groups sort of connect differently throughout the community. One of our big wins this year was being able to support the Department of National Defense in a training exercise for 6 weeks. And what that required was being able to refuel their aircraft. So they have, when they do training, it's intensive training, it's a lot of fuel. And they asked if that was something that we could provide so that all of their activities could be hosted and run out of the airport. So as you know, you were part of a new fuel system that was implemented a year ago. We used that to its maximum capacity, and sometimes had fuel deliveries more than once a day. So this was significant for us because it required us to be able to stretch our muscles in terms of what we could normally provide for a client as large as D&D. It was over $2 million of fuel purchases. That is, we've never had anything to that level before. But being able to accommodate that training exercise now has shown them that we have more capabilities than what they have used us for in the past. So hopefully that allows us to also be able to accommodate more things like that in the future. D&D is the region's largest employer. They are certainly our biggest user at the airport, but we always look for those partnerships to be able to accommodate them whenever we possibly can. So building that relationship with D&D has been really imperative. Another large employer we have is CNL, and we had the president of Jamaica come this year to the Pembroke area airport, flew in and to do some business up with CNL. So another interesting little international connection that we have with the airport, that if the facility wasn't here, maybe that meeting wouldn't happen here, maybe that business wouldn't happen here. I mean, there's lots of what ifs. But since we have the facility and we're able to accommodate all these things, we like to be able to let people know that those things happen. I mentioned firefighting. We had a very dry summer, and every time that happens, we have lots of fires. So just to give you an idea, we had 51 more fires in 2023 than we've had for the 10-year average. So there were 741 fires in Ontario in 2023, and that included some in our region as well. 441,000 hectares of forest burned in those fires, And we facilitated, if you remember, in the spring of the year, there was a significant fire happening in the Calabogie-Griffith area. And that actually was facilitated all of that work out of the Pembroke Canary Airport. So even though there are airports closer there, what we were able to provide for them in terms of refueling and service and staging and all of the things that they need, it was easier for them just to work out of our airport, so out of your airport. So that was, it's great that we can provide that. It's tough when we have those days where we are dealing with that because it is an emergency situation and those always have to be treated respectfully. It was good to know that the province of Ontario has increased the budget for emergency forest fire response by $35 million. So I think that's a sign that, you know, even the province recognizes that investment. And while we are not successful in being funded by the province or the federal government at this point, we see those types of commitments as them understanding emergency fire response is in the air. It's not on the ground, so. And again, that's a service that we get. We are paying for that through our provincial taxes, and we are directly benefiting from that service because of the runway. Airplanes cannot land anywhere but a runway. So you can often see the helicopters landing in different places. The water bomber's not going to land on the road, so they need the runway. Corporately, our corporate traffic is up to almost to pre-pandemic levels, which is very good. Good for business in our region, good for business everywhere. We had more than 200 corporate flights in 2023, and that was a mix of local businesses as well as investors and developers who were prospecting in the region. One of the neat people who was part of the corporate aircraft count was a gentleman from Saskatchewan who had developed an MRI machine that would work in space. And he flew into the airport and had that tested at CNL and was doing some work with them for a few days on that. So again, if that, you know, moves forward, we had a little role there in the process of that moving forward. We also have the Bearskin Airlines charter, and that is for children who are vision or hearing impaired. So they get on an aircraft. We're sort of part of what's called a milk run, so we're one stop at several different airports. Children get on the flight on Sunday afternoon around 3 o'clock. They are flown to Brantford, where they go to a school and they learn to live and are educated with to the benefit of their impairments. So resources that we wouldn't be able to provide here in Renfrew County. They go and live there for the week, and then on Friday afternoon, they're returned home for the weekend. And so we had a total of 6 students locally who went from the 2022 to 23 and 23 to 24 school years. This service costs nothing for parents who have children with a vision or hearing impairment. It's funded by the Ontario Ministry of Education, and it's a service that we can offer because we have the runway. Speaking of students, we've had an influx in the last couple of years of students being interested in co-ops and volunteering and positions at the airport. So that's been great for us. We've had some really great kids come through there, high school and then post-secondary as well. So in the high school area, there one guy was looking to pursue a pilot career. Another one was looking to pursue a mechanic aviation maintenance career. We have a post-secondary student that we are hoping to attract back to this area who is doing administration, aviation administration. And we got a letter from a former summer student, Aya Hammond, who secured all of her training and everything, and she's now a flight attendant with Jazz Airlines. So a lot of those opportunities are made possible because the students come and they have a full airport experience. I mean, it's all hands on deck out there. So it's not like they do the small jobs that maybe would happen at a larger facility. They do all the jobs, and they love that. I mean, they love to be doing all sorts of things. One of the students even got his fuel training, which is really something. I mean, that's not, you know, a one and done kind of thing. That takes a bit of time. So really fun to see how many people are interested, and we accommodate as many of those requests as we can. So speaking a little bit about the future, we want to be that airport that can attract people to come back and work at the facility because we're also expanding. So we have a new business, Airborne Petawawa, that is offering skydiving services. They're going to be starting this year. They came from the military, so they're veterans. They had an extensive aviation career in the military, and they're going to be opening. Don't know if they've started yet or not. They have started already, but they're going to be operating out of the airport as well. Interestingly, they're certified through the United States Parachute Association, and there is an international official drop zone now registered at the airport. So they have there's 3 people, a pilot and 2 trainers, and they have some qualifications there that are very high in the country to be operating this service. So it'll be interesting to see how they attract from, they're certainly going to be attracting from outside of this area, but where that will all come from and how that business will grow. They've been excellent to work with. We've bent over backwards to do everything that we can for them. We're always open to supporting business development in the region, and anytime somebody approaches us for an opportunity to lease land or consider an aviation business, we're always drop everything to have that conversation. You can get somebody at the airport on that anytime. One final note is we also are a member of the Airport Management Council of Ontario. We call it AMCO. And they are an organization that promotes and advances awareness of airports, much like ours, but any airport in Ontario. So in this association is Billy Bishop, the Ottawa Airport, Arnprior, all sorts of different sizes of airports, and then services and associations that support aviation in the province. Our airport sits on the governance council for AMCO, and that allows us to share our experiences and learn from their experiences in terms of speaking to federal and provincial representatives about supporting funding for local airports. And they are actually forwarding a very specific request that airports exactly like us that do not have a scheduled service and are a certified airport get funding. We have fallen outside of every possible envelope. We're not big enough, we're too big, we're not important enough, we're too important. There's just no way that we fit in anywhere. But these people recognize that, and they are pursuing that at a larger level than we can achieve on our own. So we are there to support them, and they are there to support airports in Ontario. So we're proud to be on that committee. So I believe you all have the runway report that has come out in your council minutes recently. That's just a little overview as well. If you have any questions about anything that is going on at the airport, we can certainly take them, unless you want to jump in.
Thank you, Ms. Lehman, and thank you, Councillor Wren. Any questions? Councillor Jackman?
Thank you. I'd like to thank you for coming and filling us in for the wonderful report. I take a little exception when you say it's your airport. I believe it's our airport. All the municipalities, and I know where you're coming from. You're coming with the goodness of your heart. But without the partnerships, that airport would not exist. You know, Pembroke had to run it on its own. It wouldn't happen. And I got to tell you, over the years, I've met a number of people that have used the airport corporately. You know, the president of KI, they flew their corporate jet in here from Green Bay, Michigan, when there were some dealings going on. And, you know, to the corporates, time is money. They got to get there quickly and get back quickly and do their business. Also as well, Juan Orbach, who was he came here when the fiberboard plant was being resold at $186 million. He was a principal in the negotiations, a very wealthy family from Santiago, Chile. I met him, I had him out for dinner. He thought a lot of our community, he thought a lot of the airport. And I mean, when you're looking, you know, that this gentleman has traveled, he's not going to drive from San Diego, Chile, to come here to, you know, to do business. So the quickest way is to get on that plane. So this is you know, a stepping stone to the world. There's, you know, whether people acknowledge it or not, you can get on a plane here, a charter, whatever, and from there you can go anywhere in the world. The $186 million purchase, of course, great paying jobs in Laurentian Valley. I mean, it's still working order. You know, they're making a phenomenal product based on the resources that are mined here locally in the forest. And the individual also is the owner of a fairly large winery. It's Santa Carolina Winery in Chile, and his wines are all over the world. If you look in the liquor store, you'll see Santa Carolina. It's there. It's listed as a Chilean wine. Important. Airports are important. And without them, I don't think we'd do the business that we do. And Jennifer, you said, we're either too big, we're too small, or we're in between. But I think you're setting the stage for what is important, and you're sending the message to others, including government, that, especially with CNL, CFB Petawawa, that this airport, our airport, is an integral part of doing business and keeping people working. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Just on to add to the fiberboard plant, so the new owners of the fiberboard plant, when they arrived, they found out about Project Runway, and right away they wrote us a check for $10,000 US. And they wrote us a letter of support saying how important and how important it was that that airport was there, that they came here.
Thank you. Anybody else? If I could speak from the chair, that'd be greatly appreciated. I just wanted to reiterate, Councillor Jackno's sentiment in regards how important the airport is. I was employed with CNL, and I know that they're looking at the most expensive drug in the world, actinium-225. And there's going to be opportunities in the near future, and hopefully it would include the Pembroke Airport. So there's things like that. I also had the opportunity to comment on the airborne Petawawa, and they did send me the sign up for the fly suit, but I guess you need, I don't know, X amount of, parachute drops before you could be successful in terms of the fly suit, which I thought was pretty interesting. But I did have the opportunity, and Jennifer, you took me around 2 years ago, and I was so impressed in terms of what the airport does and the facilities that you have and the partnerships that you built with, our large businesses, smaller businesses, CNL, military. So kudos to the great work you do, and that doesn't go to say, all those individuals in terms of the wake-ups at 2 o'clock in the morning, please remember, those are people's, mothers, fathers, grandfathers, parents, brothers, sisters. Those are important in terms of those life flights, air ambulance, the M&R supports that you provide. Even in terms of Coast Guard is another client of yours as well. So again, kudos, and I hope you're very successful in terms of Project One Way. And if we can get the word out to donate to the airport, that'd be greatly appreciated, because there's opportunities to, I believe you can sponsor 1 foot of, and how much is 1 foot?
You can get a foot of runway for $250, and it's
$250.
100% charitable receipted.
Perfect. So there's another option for people that want to contribute to this great initiative. So thank you so much for your time tonight, and we really appreciate your presentation. So
Well, thanks for being a partner with the airport and a consistent supporter and owner of the facility. We all appreciate that.
Thank you. So we'll move on to new business. So that'll be the Riverside Park and Sports Field rates, and we'll have Director DeRoche join us.
Right, thank you. Good evening. So I do have a number of recommendations here, so I'm just going to try and get through them and sum them up as quickly as possible. So that the Parks and Recreation Committee approve adjustment of fees for ball diamond and soccer fields at the rate of 3.3% for the 2024 season. Number 2, adjust fees for mini golf and horseshoe pits to increase by 25 cents, including HST. Number 3, reduce our fee structure from our 4 fee structure to 2 fee structure in 2025 for ball diamonds. And number 4, the fees be adjusted automatically for Riverside Park on a yearly basis and in line with the CPI rates established by the Treasury Department. Excuse me. Several years ago, the Parks and Recreation Department proposed new campground rates that were approved by Council, and since then has followed the CPI rates. So again, we are looking at rates, and we're attempting to achieve consistency on a yearly basis. stay in line with averages of neighboring municipalities, but also with the CPI rates to alleviate large gaps in our service rates. And one of the things that happen a lot of the times, if rates aren't explored on a yearly basis or every couple of years, all of a sudden 5-10 years pass, and then there's those substantial rates, and we have to make up for that. Typically, users of the facilities don't love when we have to change rates after 10 years because there's usually a larger gap, where it's a lot more manageable when we change it on a yearly basis or every 2 years. So further to this, best practice that I at least try and use is a plus minus 20% of the market mean or the average. And the department had considered itself to 3 comparators to have similar core services to the city of Pembroke. So if you take a look at the fee comparator that I had put together, and it would just be this sheet right here. You may ask to yourself, okay, one of the recommendations is to move to the 2 rates in 2025. And I think the biggest thing here is our relationships with user groups. We have a really good relationship with minor ball. We've built on that over the last year or so. And by having that conversation now for 2025, it allows them time to prepare for their rates in 2025. Generally at the end of the year, so usually around December, they're kind of looking for the following year to see if our rate's going to be increasing, what that's going to look like, because they typically like to get their registration out in February. So all their kids are registered for 2024. So again, by us having those conversations for 2025 to talk about the different rate changes will be extremely helpful. Something else too is that we'll be in line and consistent with how we deliver our rates. So if you take a look at our minor soccer and our adult soccer rates, there's 2 fees. So there's a fee structure for our minor and there's a fee structure for our adult. There's 2 fees. So basically there's a fee structure for field with no lights, and there's a fee structure for field with lights. So we're looking to do that as well for the ball diamonds. If you take a look at our neighboring municipalities, you'll see that none of the neighboring municipalities have a 4-fee structure. They have a 2-fee structure. So typically, again, it's very simple. It's a fee for if you're not using lights, and it's a fee for if you are using lights. The other thing is that it will close the plus minus 20% gap for minor ball. So right now, if you take a look at the existing fee of $11 an hour from 2023, I want to say we charged a little over 50% of that fee to minor ball last year. If you compare that to the mean or the average of $17.83, we're approximately out about 38%. By removing those 2 fees and incorporating 2 fees for next year, it'll reduce that to approximately 13%. They'll also be the same for the adult rates as well. So we'll be reducing approximately 40% to 22% as well. Hopefully I've explained that appropriately. But anyways, the last thing I wanted to mention here was that we have been investing more and more money, and I do want to thank Council for supporting us as we move forward. We certainly have some things that we'd like to see change down at the ball diamonds, which we're doing right now. And of course, our users also have expectations. So with that, of course, there is more money being spent, and we do got to recoup those costs some way to make sure that every single year is sustainable. So with that, I'll turn it back to the chair. If there is any questions, I'll certainly answer them. Thank you.
Any questions for? Yeah. Sorry, Councillor Gill.
So, I mean, I'll start from your ending, which is that we do need to invest back in these parks. One of the things, Jordan, that you and I spoke about, I think early on, was that Riverside Park definitely needs some love. This council has focused a great deal on the waterfront and other areas over the last 20 years, but Riverside Park perhaps hasn't quite seen the same amount of love. I know with respect to our ball diamonds, we have dugouts that are folded into V shapes because the posts at either end are coming out of the ground with the cement. Some of our light standards are looking a little lazy and starting to lean. I know I talked to you about getting LED lights and changing, and of course, every time you look at something and you go, hey, we should fix that, well, there's a price tag. Nothing comes by magic. One of my questions is, so I think from your report, you're looking at a 3.3% increase. My question is, during budget, council passed a motion that staff direction be made to bring forward an updated user fee schedule to council for consideration, proposing a 5% increase. So I'm wondering why we've gone with 3.3 instead of the 5 that was directed.
Yeah, absolutely. So through the chair, 3.3 is following the CPI that is generally put out by the Treasury Department. 5%, we can certainly consider it, but from our department and looking at these fees, kind of what is the strategy, right? Is it just taking a number and pulling it out of a hat, and then yes, we apply 5%, or do we take a look at, okay, we're going to follow the CPI, we understand that we're behind the 8 ball by reducing some fees and incorporating different fees for next year, we could have a different fee structure that we can actually implement and makes a bit more sense.
Trying to find a nice way to say this. So when we give staff direction, is that a recommendation, or is that what we're supposed to expect when staff come back? I guess is the question, because, I mean, on the one hand, I guess I'm just wondering, like, you know, we were in the middle of budget, we were looking at everything, and we asked for a 5% increase. And I get what you're saying. We also aren't looking at things in the nitty gritty like, you know, you've proposed here. I don't know, I guess I guess I would have just liked to see what the numbers would have been with the 5% that we asked for. And so I'm wondering, do we need to make a decision today on this one, or how time sensitive is this?
Through the chair, I can bring a report back in May. We still do have a little bit of time.
Is that pushing it close, or is?
It's going to be pushing it close, yes.
Okay, maybe I'm just gonna sit and muddle for a while.
Councillor Plummer?
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, no, I'm looking at the fees. I'm looking at your comparators. You know, it seems to be we're kind of in the middle, you know, for most of our fee structure, which is a good place to be. We're not the most expensive. We're also not the least expensive, but maybe we can certainly, with these fees, you know, still be affordable to people, as well as you know, maybe put some money back into the park to improve some areas. I echo Councillor Keel's position. It would be great to see what a chart on 5% would be. And if that is doable in May, then we can both have a quick decision. So I would move to table this for staff to come back with a report seeing the 5% increase before we make a decision.
Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Keel. Any debate? Seeing none, then do we have a vote, please? Approved. So motion would be, or the initiative would be tabled. Thank you. Well, that concludes our Parks and Recreation Committee for Tuesday, April the 18th, or 16th, sorry. Thank you. Oh, motion to adjourn? Sorry. Thank you. Moved by Mayor Gervais and seconded by Councillor Plummer. Thank you. All in favor? Adjourned.
Committee to order for April 16th. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda. I have Councillor Keel, seconded by Councillor Plummer. Those in favor? That is carried. The last set of striking committee minutes, whereas April 2nd of 2024, have a motion by Councillor Keel, seconded by Councillor Plummer. Those in favor? That is carried. They are approved. Any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none. Mr. Unruh, new business PBIA nominations.
Thank you, Chair. So committee direction is requested regarding the membership of the Pembroke Business Improvement Area, the PBIA, Board of Management. So recently there's been 2 vacancies that have been received, and so through the nomination process, they've received from the PBIA. There's 2 individuals that were put their name forward. Joanna Els from the Nuke Creekery, and Melissa Olick from Pembroke Psychological Services to fill these positions. The striking committee is required to provide a recommendation to council regarding these nominations, and the appointment would be until the end of the current term of council. Open any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Unruh in respect to this item? Seeing none, I know that it's coming forward at council a little bit later, but perhaps if we could have a motion in striking committee, moved by Councillor Keel, seconded by Councillor Plummer. Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Motion to adjourn striking committee. I have Councillor Keel, seconded by Councillor Purcell. Those in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you. Call this council meeting to order for April 16th. I would ask everyone to please take a moment to please stand for an opening prayer and reflection. Before opening this meeting of council, I would ask those who wish, each in your own way, silently join in a prayer of guidance over these proceedings. Thank you. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest in respect to the items before this council meeting this evening? Seeing none. We have a series of minutes. The first is the approval of the minutes from council of the regular meeting of council of April 2nd. I'd entertain a motion. I have Councillor Purcell, seconded by Councillor Plummer. Those in favor? That is carried. Then we have 2 sets of minutes from committees. The first is Parks and Recreation Committee, March 19th, 2024. I'd entertain a motion. Councillor Keel, seconded by Councillor Plummer. Those in favor? That is carried. The second was the Striking Committee meeting, April 2nd, 2024. I have Councillor Purcell, seconded by Councillor Plummer. Those in favor? That is carried. Last but not least, we have receiving minutes from local boards. First is the Pembroke Heritage Murals Committee, April 3rd, 2024. I have Councillor Giacono, seconded by Councillor Plummer. Those in favor? That is carried. And lastly was the Accessibility Advisory Committee, December 7th, 2023. I have Councillor Purcell, Seconded by Councillor Plummer. Those in favor? That is carried. Moving on to committee reports. Councillor Plummer, I understand you have something from Striking Committee.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. Your striking committee of council begs to report and recommends from its meeting held this evening as follows. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Jacquino, that Joanna Els and Melissa Olenek be approved the Pembroke Business Improvement Area Board of Management until the end of the current term of council.
Thank you. Striking Committee of Council begs to report and recommend from its meeting held earlier this evening by Councillor Plummer, seconded by Councillor Jacquino, that Joanne Els and Melissa Olenek be appointed to the Pembroke Business Improvement Area, known as the PBIA Board of Management, until the end of the current term of council. Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Okay. This evening we have two proclamations. The first is in respect to Earth Day. I do hereby declare April 22nd, 2024 as Earth Day in the City of Pembroke. Whereas Earth Day Canada works with many partners to address environmental challenges through development of programs and collaborating with communities, organizations, and citizens with the goals of inspiring environmental awareness and encouraging the conservation and appreciation of our planet's shared natural resources. And whereas with urban areas set to become home to 2/3 of the world's population by 2050, and as climate change is being observed and experienced, municipalities find themselves at the front line of the battle against climate change. And whereas climate change, along with biodiversity and natural ecosystems loss, threatens the life support systems that makes our world habitable. And whereas the United Nations recent climate change 2023 report states that equitable and effective action is needed now to reduce losses and damages for nature and people, and that action will provide co-benefits, including clean energy, water, and air. And whereas the City of Pembroke is committed to raising environmental awareness and has taken a number of steps and actions to be a part of the green revolution, such as declaring a climate emergency on April 20th, 2021, committing to the Partners for Climate Protection 5-milestone program, creating the Beautification and Climate Action Advisory Committee, and including the utilization of a climate lens in the city's strategic plan. And whereas the steps we can take to protect and preserve our natural environment through education, partnerships, and positive actions should be encouraged in the City of Pembroke. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Ron Jerva, Mayor of the City of Pembroke, proclaim April 22nd, 2024 as Earth Day throughout Pembroke and encourage all citizens, businesses, institutions, and organizations to participate in action-oriented activities that protect and enhance the environment and our local ecology, and to celebrate the Earth. As indicated, April 22nd, 2024 is Earth Day. This is an opportunity to reflect on the environmental issues, but more importantly, to get involved. The City of Pembroke is committed to change for the better. We need only to look at the countless changes that we have instituted as the city previously and our commitment through the Beautification and Climate Action Advisory Committee. We have now completed milestone 1 regarding the Climate Action Plan and currently working to achieve phase 2. The second proclamation this evening is First Responders Day, which is May 1st, 2024. I do hereby declare that May 1st, 2024 is First Responders Day in the City of Pembroke, whereas in 2013, the Ontario Legislature proclaimed that May 1st of each year would be proclaimed as First Responders Day. Whereas first responders are both volunteers and professionals who dedicate their lives to public service, education, and the protection of residents, their property, and the environment, whose skills often make the difference between life and death. Whereas first responders include professions such as paramedics, firefighters, police officers, nurses, doctors, medical evacuation pilots, community emergency managers, road maintenance personnel, and military personnel. And whereas at a moment's notice, first responders are quick to respond to dangerous and distressing situations that threaten our communities. And whereas the services, dedication, and commitment of first responders deserve to be recognized and honored. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Ron Jerva, Mayor of the City of Pembroke, proclaim May 1st, 2024 as the First Responders Day in the City of Pembroke and urge residents to thank those men and women who have dedicated their lives to keeping our community safe and protected. As indicated, May 1st is First Responders Day. First responders are those men and women who, in early stages of an emergency, are responsible for the protection and preservation of life, property, evidence, and the environment. They include police officers, firefighters, military personnel, paramedics, medical evacuation pilots, dispatchers, nurses, doctors, emergency medical technicians, and emergency managers. On May 1st at 1 p.m., there will be a celebration and a sign unveiling at the Pembroke waterfront to formally recognize the first responders. Please join us for that event. It will be on various social media for the City of Pembroke shortly. First responders are volunteers and professionals who have dedicated their lives to public service. Their life-saving skills often make the difference between life and death. Their public service deserves to be recognized and honored. It's truly a pleasure to recognize First Responders Day in the City of Pembroke. To commemorate First Responders Day this year, there will be the renaming of the prominent street of the Pembroke waterfront from Fred Blackstein Boulevard to First Responders Way. This was an excellent idea and at the request of Mr. Blackstein himself. Let us think of the first responders that do so much for us at a time when risk their lives for the rest of us. Moving on to bylaws. First, we have Councillor Keel, 2024-25, short-term rentals and other housekeeping zoning items.
Your worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Purcell, that bylaw 2024-25, a bylaw to amend bylaw 2020-05 of the Corporation of the City of Pembroke, being a bylaw to regulate the use of lands and the character, location, and use of buildings and structures in the City of Pembroke, be adopted and passed, and further that said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Keel, seconded by Councillor Purcell, that bylaw 2024-25, a bylaw to amend bylaw 2020-05 of the Corporation of the City of Pembroke, being a bylaw to regulate the use of lands and the character, location, and use of buildings and structures in the City of Pembroke, be adopted and passed, and further that said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation. Councillor Keel.
Ms. Soriel and Mr. Hutton have certainly provided me with a multitude of information about this bylaw. The biggest change, Your Worship, is, of course, the city allowing short-term rentals now in the City of Pembroke. So once again, this council this term is certainly taking to heart the idea of deregulation and permitting residents to use the property that they own in ways that suit their needs and also support the local community. There is a multitude of other housekeeping changes that were discussed in committee at the last council, so I won't bore everybody with those. But needless to say, this is mostly a housekeeping item, and then also the short-term rental aspect.
Thank you. Any questions? If not, I'd call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. Next is bylaw 2024-26, rezoning of 659 McKay Street. Councillor Jacquinot.
Thank you, Worship, and members of council. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Ian Keel, that bylaw 2024-26, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2020-05 of the Corporation of the City of Pembroke, being a bylaw to regulate the use of lands and the character, location, and use of buildings and structures in the City of Pembroke, be adopted and passed, and further that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and awaiting your signature, Your Worship.
Moved by Councillor Jacquinot, seconded by Councillor Keel, that bylaw 2024-26, a bylaw to amend 2020-05 of the Corporation of the City of Pembroke, being a bylaw to regulate the use of lands and the character, location, and use of buildings and structures in the City of Pembroke, be adopted and passed, and further that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation. Councillor Jacquinot, did you wish to speak to
Yes,
this?
thank you, Your Worship. I kind of have to go along with Councillor Keel on the reporting. We were given a lot of information, but to put it in a short form, this information was provided by our planner. A little bit of background. The applicant, Jessica Dow of JD Planning, on behalf of the property owners, has submitted a site plan proposing the addition of 4 dwelling units to the existing converted dwelling of 2 dwelling units at 659 McKay Street to make it a converted dwelling of a total of 6 dwelling units. This, Your Worship, conforms with the Planning Act, and it was discussed wholeheartedly and approved, which will allow for more housing for much-needed market within our area. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing none, call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. Councillor Giacono, you're not done yet. 2024-27, appointment of bylaw enforcement officers.
Thank you, Your Worship. I appreciate the exercise, getting up and down. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Keel, that bylaw 2024-27, being a bylaw to appoint municipal bylaw enforcement officers to enforce parking provisions in the parking lots associated with 315 Pembroke Street East, 137 Pembroke Street, and 150 Pembroke Street be adopted and passed, and further that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the clerk and sealed with the seal of corporation, waiting your signature, Your Worship.
Moved by Councillor Giacono, seconded by Councillor Keel. That bylaw 2024-27, a bylaw to appoint municipal bylaw enforcement officers to enforce parking provisions in the parking lots associated with 315 Pembroke Street East, 137 Peter Street, and 150 Peter Street be adopted and passed, and further that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation. Councillor Giacono.
Thank you, Your Worship. Again, an extensive background report on how we came to this point. Staff, again, is awfully busy to make sure that things are in the proper order. This is an agreement between Concord Properties of Ottawa requesting the ability to ticket vehicles at the parking lots that were mentioned. And based on the bylaw enforcement request, Ms. Royal presented this report to a previous meeting. This will proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Councillor Giacono? Seeing none. Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Okay. Next is motions. Councillor Keel.
Your Worship, pursuant to section 9.3.3 of the procedural bylaw, I'm going to withdraw my motion at this time and reintroduce it at a later time.
Okay, thank you. Next is Mayor's report. So good evening, everyone. I wish to bring forward my Mayor's report at this time regarding invitations, appearances, and other matters. On April 5th, the second meeting of the opioid response agencies met, including Inspector and Acting Staff Sergeant of the OPP, Chief Nolan of the Renfrew County Paramedics, Dr. Morgenstern of the RCDHU, together with Heather Daly, Deacon Adrian, Jerry Novak of the Grind, the Warden, representatives of OATC, staff members. I'm very appreciative of Councillor Purcell and Councillor Giacono for attending. This is the second meeting of the various disciplines, as I put it, regarding substance use in the community. As was decided at the last meeting, we are in an enhanced state of operations, as indicated by Chief Nolan and as indicated by Dr. Morgenstern, that the situation is a serious issue. Again, it was a great meeting to hear that all the disciplines are working together, including foot patrol by the OPP with the health unit, OPP with the MCERT team doing foot patrol, as well as working with the, and also the work of the OATC. Lots of acronyms. The willingness of the various groups to share with one another statistics and information. There was discussions and distributions there was discussions about distributions of naloxone kits. A number of action items were determined and articulated by our CAO, and a further date of this particular group is forthcoming. As council is aware, I released a mayor's message to apprise the public of the current situation and what proactive steps were being taken to address this situation. On April 6th, the Pembroke Fire Department held a pancake breakfast with all proceeds going to the Pembroke Handy Bus. The Handy Bus board and family members were pleased to assist with the clearing of tables and other tasks to assist the Firefighter Association with this great event. This is truly another example of the caring nature of the Pembroke Firefighter Association and their willingness to give back to the community. This will assist the Handy Bus with providing service to seniors and those with intellectual and physical disabilities. As is now being advertised, the Handy Bus will be providing a Sunday transit service to serve those citizens of Pembroke and Laurentian Valley. Later that day, it was a great opportunity to meet with Catherine Donovan and her husband Denis in respect to FN Good Foods at 53 Pembroke Street West. I was very appreciative of the Deputy Mayor, the Councillor Keel, Councillor Frenier, and Councillor Purcell to attend this great event and to welcome this nice family to the city of Pembroke. Well done, Pembroke, as we were told that they felt most welcomed to the community, and this is why they chose to make this their home. On April 8th was the monthly RCDHU Mayor's Meeting, always informative discussions regarding emergency preparedness, reviewing and drafting a report arising from COVID, updating on wildfire response plans, extreme heat, extreme cold, Lyme disease, all sorts of different topics being covered. It's interesting and always beneficial to hear from different mayors because what concerns the one municipality, Calabogie, in terms of Lyme disease maybe doesn't necessarily affect Pembroke to such a degree, but it's interesting to listen to the different mayors and discuss the various issues that affect all of our communities. April 12th, the Pembroke Handy Bus held a paint night fundraiser. This was a great opportunity for the Handy Bus board and staff to connect with the community while raising funds for the transit service. It was a pleasure to welcome individuals to the event and let them know about the services of the Handy Bus and what service it supplies to the community. We now have new brochures that are in circulation and will be handed out at the Pembroke Expo booth. Thank you for all those participating for showing your support to the Handy Bus and showing off your paintings. They had more guts than I do to show me the paintings after they were done. In respect to the events, I was informed this week about the Renfrew County 55+ Summers Games that are soon upon us. There's a registration deadline of April 25th. I understand that people can register either through our Recreation Department or the 55+ website. I forwarded this to staff so that staff can in turn disseminate that information. Then a few, because the Deputy Mayor isn't here tonight, so a few of them on behalf of the two of us. On behalf of the Deputy Mayor and myself, I wish to remind everyone that we are soon going to be getting the group together for the community garden for another awesome year. Anyone interested in a plot can either contact the Deputy Mayor or myself. The Deputy Mayor and I are kicking off the Rain Barrel campaign again to raise money for the community garden. If interested, please contact either one of us or go directly to rainbarrel.ca. You put in Ontario, you put in Pembroke, and it brings you right to the spot that you need to be to order Rain Barrel. I did look there, and you need to move quickly if you want a Rain Barrel because a bunch of them are being sold out. So there still is what they call the ugly duckling, and there's some black ones and so forth, but they are being snapped up. June 1st from 10 till 3 will be the pickup. It'll be at the Pem-Ice 2, and this is a huge success and builds upon Earth Week. Last but not least, the Community Watch meeting will be held April 29th at 7 at the Fire Hall. Again, all are welcome to that particular function, and as always, stay safe and be kind to one another. Notices of motion. Seeing none. Councillor updates. Okay, Councillor Keel, then Councillor Plummer.
Thank you, Your Worship. So, an update on Festival Hall. This is a pretty busy week, Your Worship. Last night, the Stampeders were at Festival Hall. On Thursday, the MyFM Spirit Awards, Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Saturday at 7:30 p.m., Tom Thompson's Wake. And then Sunday at 7 p.m. is the Elton Ron Tribute, which, as I've said before, is a fundraiser for the Festival Hall. I can advise everybody that the $40,000 in audiovisual upgrades, everything has arrived, everything is being installed, and everything is going to be ready for the Elton Ron performance on Sunday night. So I certainly want to thank Rick Wharton and all of the technicians that both contributed, both lending their advice and who have actively physically installed some of the equipment, including, Your Worship, a 22-foot new HD quality screen. So we'll be able to show movies, live events, and certainly this is bringing our festival hall sort of into the 21st century and beyond. I also want to thank the Pembroke Professional Firefighters Association for their pancake breakfast in support of the local handy bus. That was a great event to attend, and as Your Worship said, effing good foods downtown. Not only did I attend, but we stayed so long we ran into the dinner hour. So I got the mac and cheese with the pulled pork, and I got to tell you, I will absolutely be back for that again. All the food that I've had there has been great so far, and certainly I encourage everyone to attend all of our businesses here in Pembroke, but particularly those private businesses where our local residents are putting everything on the line to try and bring us new and interesting things. Thank you, Your Worship.
Mr. Plummer?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to bring an update from the Operations Committee. You know, not everything's seen. You know, what goes on behind the scenes. So just want to give the public a bit of an update of what's happening, as well as just knowing how much work is going behind the scenes before we just see definitely our workers on site. So might be a hunch over as a small writing here. So just an update. So just in the second quarter of 2024, the Operations Department's currently on traffic management. So understanding the traffic management and safety around Rotary Park, school zones, Bell Street, Isabella Street, Mary Street, Cecilia Street, Carmody, Irving Street. Ongoing study related to Laurentian Valley and the city traffic management improvements. Development charges study is ongoing related to Township Laurentian Valley Water and Sewer Agreement. Infrastructure needs study and 20-year facility plan is ongoing related to Laurentian Valley's Water and Sewer Agreement related to future development in the city and Laurentian Valley. Inflow and infiltration of the efforts on the sanitary sewer system. We have the stormwater management currently underway being looked at for the stormwater outfall rehabilitation, stormwater retention, as well as stormwater improvements to reduce flooding risks and improve stormwater quality. Under waste management, new collection contracts and RFP and transition to provider responsibility is being looked at. Under active transportation, so touchdown areas, signage, provisions for active transportation along Algonquin Trail, and pursuit of potential future trails. Under municipal consent and roadway occupancy, we got policy and bylaw, as well as roadway entrance. They're looking at policy and bylaw, and easements. So they're pursuing legal agreements and easements for existing and future infrastructure. So a lot going on behind the scenes on the operations department, as well as just seeing that it is now construction season will be upon us very shortly. So we'll see a lot more trucks and people out working on the streets. Thank you.
It's indicative of how busy staff is in all the different departments that the public, as you say, doesn't necessarily see. Councillor Purcell?
Thank you, Your Worship. Kind of a long-winded one tonight. I did have the pleasure on April the 4th to attend the Affordable Housing Summit the County of Renfrew hosted. It was a full day of opening dialogue towards the development of critical relations to grow affordable housing across Renfrew County. The goal of the summit was to identify those initiative and innovative partnerships, opportunities aimed at creating and collaborating in terms of environment for developers, builders, investors, real estate specialists, of course, elected officials, municipal staff to spark out of the box and thinking to address the housing crisis being felt right across Ontario and beyond. Overall, we're very pleased that there was a multi-sector community engagement towards finding housing solutions and feedback throughout the day, including the need for more seamless processes and less red tape. Attendees at that particular summit, it was opened by MPP John Yakubuski, who also indicated that the provincial government is working on a housing bill. And of course, the Renfrew County Warden, Peter Emo, also shared details about the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus 7 and 7 regional housing plan that aims to build at least 7,000 community rentals over 7 years across Eastern Ontario and relieve the pressure of affordable housing wait list. Andrea Patrick, she's the Director of Community Services, provided also an overview of the programs offered by her department, including community housing, childcare, and early years in Ontario Works. One thing to note is that she did state the wait for housing unit ranges between 7 and 10 years, with approximately 1,500 names on local waiting lists. That being said, she also mentioned that figure is likely low, as the wait time is a deterrent for many that don't even want to get on the list. The Community Services Department also offers financial assistance for housing through a number of programs, such as the Affordable Home Ownership, Ontario Renovates, and the Emergency Minor Home Repair Assistance Program. The Chief Executive Administrative Officer, Craig Kelly, also highlighted the newly minted MESA program. I think that I provided updates in the past. And this MESA program is very important to address the root cause in terms of homelessness and substance abuse, addictions, for mental health, while fostering a resilient and healthier community for all residents of the county of Renfrew. The community services, along with the county Renfrew paramedics and development of property department, are also working together on a program and collaboratively approach to compassionate care within our community. Attendees also heard from CADCO, which is an organization that develops affordable housing solutions, Habitat for Humanity, which also brings communities together to help families build, strengthen, and stabilize independence through affordable home ownership. Attendees received information about potential funding from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, the Green Municipal Fund, and the need for shovel-ready projects when applying for funding from the Canadian Housing and Mortgage Corporation. The county has put out an expression of interest, and this expression of interest for affordable housing is due June the 7th, 2024. The county is actually looking forward to seeing proposals come forward to address the housing crisis. This expression of interest can be found on the county's website. And again, the report on the summit will follow the results of the post-event survey that will be presented along with the results of the request for information later this spring. In conjunction to this initiative, myself and Deputy Mayor Abdallah are also investigating the merits of tiny homes as another opportunity supporting affordable housing supply, primarily through infilling within our own community. And we'll be talking a little bit more about that in the near future. The task force, and I'll give you some stats in regards to the MESA program. Just so you're aware, in terms of the MESA program, and this is prior to April the 10th, since the launch of the MESA program, it's already making a difference. There's been 71 encounters, 30 of which were 911 support follow-ups, 21 resulted in 911 emergency department diversions, and 14 had alternate transportation arranged, and 13 were related to wellness checks or reported concerns. So the MESA program is that program where we have the paramedics going out, providing those services, interacting with various different community programs to address the homelessness issues and the effects in terms of what the mayor was talking about in terms of the mayor's release in regards to the opiate issues and the drug poisonings that we're having in our community. So lots going on there. I also had the pleasure to attend on April the 11th, Jason and Joel. It was at the Calvary United Church, and it was the presentations by these two individuals, and it was inspiring in terms of hearing their stories in terms of their path to recovery. They talked about their road to recovery and how they were progressing, and discussed their path in terms of what that looked like for each one of them. There was also available at that event all the resources regarding addiction treatment services, OATC, county services, the MESA program. So they were actually at that presentation, that event, and they can actually connect with those people right off the bat to get them the services that they're looking for. So lots of great things happening, and I also just wanted to commend the mayor and our CAO for the great work that they are doing in terms of addressing the concerns in our community. I know that I participated in the meeting that the mayor talked about in terms of the OPP, the grind, the county Renfrew paramedics, as well as Renfrew County District Health and the Ontario Addiction Treatment Centers. And I know that we're involving others, such as Addiction Treatment Services and hospital, and those individuals, so that way we can, have a collective approach in terms of addressing the increase in terms of overdoses and suspected deaths from overdoses in our area. So I think we're on a good trajectory. We have a lot of work to do, but I do think that we have the right engagement by the various different partners, and I think that we're going to see some success moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you. And certainly the I don't know if everyone sees it, but certainly different individuals must approach each and every one of us. But I was approached to say that the paramedics were going up and down even the Algonquin Trail, and I was informed of that by my own brother, who said, by the way, and he was trying to figure out why, and I'm like, okay, well, there's a lot of things going on, and anyways, we had a good discussion, but this is happening. Councillor Jacquino.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a couple of reports to bring forward. Just in comment to Councillor Purcell's about the Calvin United meeting. I was there as well, and it truly was moving to hear those two individuals speak about their addiction, how they conquered it, and how they try to conquer it every day. I mean, you just don't stop, heavy doses of opioids overnight and expect to be normal again. Doesn't work that way. But the individuals mentioned that, due to places like the grind, they got their initiative to get stronger and seek assistance and aid, and they're on the right track. So it really was moving. It was a full house. You couldn't sit anywhere, standing room only. There had to be a couple of hundred people there, Councillor Purcell, would you say?
Yes.
But anyway, I was glad to be there. Your Worship, last Saturday I had the pleasure to represent you at the science fair that's hosted by CNL, and a lot of individuals that provide prizes, etc., including the city of Pembroke. There must have been, I would say, 40 displays by young people who are, to me, they're all genius. They're all genius level. I mean, I say that with due modesty because I'm far from a genius, but they were really smart kids. And one young lady that won a prize, her dad actually used to work for the city of Pembroke. He's now a teacher on the Quebec side in Chapeau. But his young daughter, Kaylee, won a prize for coming up with substitution for plastic. And I mean, when you think of it, a child that's 12 or 13 years old, coming up with this innovative idea to take natural sources like apple skins or flour and working them together and make them as resilient as plastic to hold liquid, and then they biodegrade into the into the waste landfill site. It's genius. How long does it take for a plastic bottle to disintegrate, or even a newspaper to disappear? So anyway, I was very pleased to be there as well. Your Worship, I just want to just mention the F&N food place. We visited there today because I was in Petawawa on Saturday representing you. So Georgiana and I went down there just to say hello, and we made the mistake of going in there and buying their delicious butter tarts, which I had 3 or 4 before I came here tonight. They're fabulous. And the owner shared with me that CTV did a little news clip on her business, and she was sold out for 4 days. She said, I could not stock enough stuff for 4 days. So that shows you how a small business in a locale such as Pembroke attracts people. So her customers were not only from this area. I mean, CTV, has a broad base. Anyway, it was wonderful. And she has a cordon bleu culinary background. She's going to be having, from my understanding, cooking lessons, she indicated. So, there again, there's going to be involvement by people within the community. And the amazing part, she shared with me that 1% of her business is done through the door. The rest is broad-based across the country. So can you imagine? I mean, there's a small individual with a background in French cuisine who's come up with sauces and powders, and she's shipping it anywhere from Vancouver to Nunavut to St. John's, Newfoundland, while being based right here on our main street. So that's a wonderful thing. Last but not least, Your Worship, I have a 65-page report. I can read it to you if you'd like, or if you want me just to bring it down to a couple of sentences from the county. Whatever your wish is, Your Worship. What would you like? Shortened version, Your Worship? Okay, I presume that means shortened version. The county, again, has been very busy with some various projects, and the housing unit that's being built, it'll come to completion on Douglas Street on May the 10th. A couple $1 million investment. I know a lot of contractors will say, well, why did they spend a couple $1 million bucks? But you have to drive by to see it. It's rather unique, and I think it'll set a precedent for that type of housing across the whole province of Ontario. So very innovative. I'd like to thank the folks at the county. Ward Nemo, again, is keeping everyone's feet to the fire in the legislature in Toronto. Again, another interesting fact, Your Worship, from the Community Services Committee, and I thought that our residents and we should know about, is that the report identifies that nearly 1 in 6 households in Renfrew County are food insecure. So 1 in 6 means there's children or people that are hungry or going without, either to pay the rent or put gas in their vehicle, go to work, whatever. So that's rather staggering, and I think that's why you're seeing the food banks, having an increase in traffic. People that are working and still having to go to the food bank because at the end of it they just can't cope. So something's got to give. There also was a report about housing, some community housing priority projects, additional funding that was applied for by Andrea Patrick was not successful. And the letter says this was a difficult decision since a total of 41 top priority business case submissions were received from service managers and Indigenous program administrators across the province for a total of $145 million. They encouraged, however, them to continue to apply. Just because you didn't get it the first time doesn't mean you're not going to get it the second time. Also, there was some conversation through the warden and other members of the committee that it seems that there's some quandary between communications between the federal government, the provincial government, when it comes to housing. The feds are saying, we're giving you all this money, you're mismanaging it. What are you doing with it? And yet, the municipalities have been downloaded to do what they can with what they got. So there's got to be better communication there between the feds and the province. And I think that'll be coming forward at the AMO conference. They want to position that for further discussion. Other than that, Your Worship, thank you for not letting me read the 65-page report, but it is available for members of council. I'll leave it with our clerk. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jacquinot. And you raise a good point that in terms of discussions that I know the CEO and I have had with the MP and the MPP and the warden is being bounced between feds and the province, and it's like, look at quit bouncing us between the two of them, and funds need to flow for the different items that we need, and it seems to be that we get ping pong between the two of them, which isn't acceptable. Okay, so Councillor Purcell, I understand you have confirming bylaw.
Yes, I do, Your Worship. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Keel that bylaw 10-2024 to confirm the proceedings of the regular meeting of council of April 16, 2024 be adopted and passed, and further that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor, clerk, and sealed with the seal of the corporation. Thank you.
By Councillor Purcell, seconded by Councillor Keel, that bylaw 10-2024 to confirm the proceeding of the regular meeting of council of April 16th, 2024 be adopted and passed, and further the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation. Those in favor? That is carried. And a motion to adjourn. I have Councillor Keel, seconded by Councillor Purcell. We are adjourned. Thank you.